The 15th century. In a small hut lived two women, Anne and her mother-in-law Morwen. Anne's husband and Morwen's son Seamus is fighting somewhere in distant lands, and whether he will return, or return at all, is unknown. Anne and Morwen are starving, and realizing they won't survive the winter, Morwen begins robbing and killing random travelers. Meanwhile, Jago, a friend of Seamus, comes home and reports that Seamus has been killed. Now a widow, Anne is asked by Jago to become his woman, but she's unsure what to do. There is nothing more frightening than pampered Western feminism attempting to retrofit time-tested classic stories to the standards of the new ethics. Last year, Natasha Kermani directed the art house horror film Abraham's Boys, which used Bram Stoker's Dracula to argue that patriarchy is scarier than vampires. Now she has turned her gaze eastward. Her new film, The Dreadful, is a remake of the classic Japanese horror Onibaba, which, with a few light strokes of the pen, transforms a brutal parable about the demons of the human soul into yet another tale about why patriarchy is the greater evil. On the surface, the plots of Onibaba and The Dreadful may not seem drastically different. At least the key elements of the Japanese film are present in Kermani's version. The same characters, the same murders for profit, the same illicit romance, the same ominous mask, or in this case, a knight's helmet. But Kermani goes to great lengths to dress her heroine in metaphorical white. For instance, Anne does not kill anyone herself. She is a God-fearing Christian and a fundamentally kind person. Jago is not just some random man, but her childhood friend, someone she once shared an inseparable bond with. And it's not even really sex she seeks from him. She's simply starved for human warmth. These subtle touches may not feel intrusive while watching, but they come together near the finale. Instead of the harrowing climax of the Japanese original, we are handed something openly hypocritical and trite. Anne frees herself from the manipulative pressure of her mother-in-law and rejects the cowardly Jago, only to be reborn as a strong and independent woman. In interviews, Kermani has said her heroine exists outside the system, that she rejects fear and temptation and therefore triumphs. Of course, it's easy to keep your hands clean when the responsibility for finding food has been shifted onto others. Let them have blood up to their elbows and then we'll scold them for it. That begins to feel like a kind of moral schizophrenia, reminiscent of Marie Antoinette's infamous remark about bread and cake. Apparently, all you have to do is stand up straight and declare, "Evil, be gone, I'm strong and independent," and your table will magically fill with food. To make this kind of film didactic and moralizing, while carefully avoiding practical questions about survival, requires a particular mindset and a great deal of privilege. Kermani undermines her own project on a fundamental level, making everything else beside the point. What does it matter whether the actors perform well or whether the film looks beautiful? They do. And it does, if that matters to anyone. If in terms of meaning and awareness, it resembles a protest slogan shouted at random passersby. For everything good and against everything bad? If you want your voice to be heard, and more importantly, taken seriously, remember the basic rule: when you criticize, offer an alternative. A white coat may look elegant, but it won't help you survive a cold and hungry winter.